Um, let's see. I don't know if anybody's got any hands up. No, I can't see any hands up. Apart from Barry, you got your hand up, or have you not taken it down? You need to take your hand down, Barry. Right, thank you. Okay, next question is from Nigel Davey. And Nigel is asking about the forum. And he says, one thing that has frustrated me for a very long time is the forum. Because the simple reason is that the forum is not a forum. And he says that there's basically, and he goes on to discuss what he thinks, obviously, how it's being used. I did reply to Nigel on an email where I actually agreed with him and said, yes, he's right. It actually is being used more as a notice board. However, we certainly could be looking at a forum, and I'd like Bharat Patel, please, to take this and answer this, please. Over to you, Bharat.
Good evening, all. As Keith said, I'm addressing this question, and we've had discussed this at the board meeting. And one of the things that we want to do is basically revamp the Shirley Park website. And obviously part of the Shirley Park website is the forum. And the forum will be revamped, redeveloped as a proper forum and not as a notice board as highlighted by Nigel. So that is work in progress, and we're going to get that up and running as soon as possible. So we're going to have a look at ideas on how to, refresh the website, and in addition, basically convert the forum that exists at the moment to a proper forum. The issues on the forum is obviously administration, with obviously comments, unruly comments, bullying, or whatever you want to call it. A lot of issues are there. So we'll have to put in place some moderators from the board to sort of monitor what's been said onto the forum. But the forum will be as a forum, and it will be developed as a forum. And that's my reply to Nigel.
Thank you. Thank you, Bharat. All right, I don't know if I'm just going to check if there's any hands up. No hands up at the moment. Good. Okay, now we have some questions from Martin Hughes. There are 3 or 4 questions here, so I'll go through them in order. First one will be answered by Neil Davis, and this is about the trolley shed income being down in the previous year, and Martin has then gone on to ask about the account side and how things are actually represented in the accounts. I think this is quite a lot here to answer, and I think Neil, I'll hand this over to you straight away so you can go through it, please.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Martin, for the question. I know we've discussed it on the telephone, but just to confirm how we sort of report our accounts and how I operate each month. So each month, the accounts team, or Claire up at Shirley, will produce a Sage P&L, profit and loss, and that comes down to me. And then I dissect each of those lines and go through them in a huge amount of detail. You would be surprised at how much detail we go in. So I'm going back sort of 3, 4, 5 years, comparing line by line, month on month, year on year, to see if we can see any trends, any anomalies. And the trolley shed one actually did come out. We put the trolley shed in 2018-19. We put an income of about 5,800 against it. And then thereafter, it's produced about 300 quid a month, which is obviously down to about 3,600, 3,700. So something's gone slightly awry there. I am still waiting for an answer on exactly what's happened there. So we will get to the bottom of that. But yeah, it is quite difficult. I'm glad you touched on the cash flow side of things. Trying to work out a cash flow for Shirley Park against the profit and loss, where you get lots of your subs up front, you get some in part payment, you get new members, etc., etc. We've got depreciation charges. So it's quite a difficult scenario, but we've done, again, a fair amount of work on that. I've got a sort of rudimentary cash flow that I'm operating very manually, if you like, on a sort of Excel spreadsheet that I've pinched from one of my customers at at work, and so far so good. So it gives us a sort of warm feeling. We look at the bank statement, we look at the profit loss, what we got down the line. Obviously, I'm getting pressure from the guys to spend more money on projects, so we'll have to try and temper their enthusiasm to some degree. But we just want to make sure we're back on an even keel, and we end the year not borrowing from next year, and we can sort of wash our own face. So it is a work in progress, but rest assured, I won't let that drop. And as for it getting through, I think with my eyes on it and the auditor's eyes on it, I don't think anything's going to slip through there, Martin. So you'll have to leave that particular line with me, but I'll come back to you on it.
I will come to you in a minute, Martin, but let me go through all your other questions first, and then you can come back and give us your response, please. Right. So, the question is to Barry Pearce. In a recent chairman's blog, I read that we now have 335 full 7-day members. What number do you view as capacity? And if we start getting close to that, would you consider introducing a token joining fee, or do we then have a problem with CASC? Over to you, Barry.
Okay. Hi, Martin. Good question. CASC, for anyone who doesn't know it, is the Community Amateur Sports Club scheme, and it allows local amateur sports to register with the Revenue and Customs. And if you qualify, certain conditions have to be met. You can qualify for sort of a range of tax reliefs and the like. Over quite a considerable number of years, we have qualified for the benefit, and it currently works out that we save approximately £40,000 a year on our rates. One of the main conditions is the level of subscriptions. Now, we're currently pretty close, £62 away from the upper limit, which qualifies to remain the beneficiary of the CASC benefits. And the way the subs are calculated by CASC for the purposes of whether you qualify or not, the joining fee is included in the subs. And obviously, anything more than 62 quid as a joining fee, we could be falling foul of the trap door being opened and not qualifying anymore. But that is something we've mentioned on Tuesday at the board meeting, and we're going to look into it again, because the thresholds haven't moved really much over the years, and but we still have to comply with them as they were many years ago. On the membership side, we're getting close to capacity. We could probably take about another 20, and we have got some still in the pipeline that are interested in joining. One issue which we must be aware of is that we've got a vast influx of new members this year, partly due to COVID and people being unable to work, furloughed, working from home. And we really need to make the new members welcome when we can all congregate. As I mentioned before, some of them don't even know about turning up and playing on the day without using a start system and stuff. So if we can integrate them, if we can keep a large proportion of them when things go back to normal, it'll be very good for the club funds, obviously, which is an important issue in itself. But we don't want to discourage people from joining at the moment, in case we do lose a certain number of members in June. And at the moment, the fact that we haven't got a joining fee is quite a good selling point against clubs not involved in CASC who do have a joining fee at the moment. But that's something we will be reviewing on a regular basis.
Right, good. Thank you, Barry. Thank you. Right, Martin's last question, and and I'm going to refer to the captain on this. Is it feasible to arrange groups of members to occasionally meet and take on small projects on the course in the clubhouse to improve the club? These will be such as collecting litter from bushes and possibly a bit of weeding, preparing bunker edges, maybe even slightly more adventurous members could help out with cleaning patio, etc. I would be happy to be on that list. Well, over to you, Steve Denman.
Yes, 1,000,000%, Martin. Just before all this COVID stuff started, or even during it, me and Neil, we started up a little WhatsApp group. And to be quite truthful with you, it all caved in a bit because of the COVID. So we did do some voluntary stuff up there. And I've obviously seen you down the shops and stuff. So and we have talked about it, which is good, but it's nice to get it out in the open. So once we get back and we can all meet together, we'll have many chats, I'm sure. And then we'll get this WhatsApp going again. And I'll talk to Richard, and if there's menial tasks up there he says that we can get on with, so be it. We'll jump on it, and I know at the click of a finger, push of a button, I'm going to get 20 or 30 guys, because I know there's a lot of guys out there that want the best for the club. So it will start again, 1,000,000%.
Great.
Okay?
Well done. Thank you very much, Steve. Martin, do you want to give us any reply, please? Yeah, all right. Okay. All right. Thanks, Martin. All right. Okay. Good. Moving on to the next question. I think this is a nice one for Barry to answer. This is from Jay Patel. This year, I found the procedure of for and against voting for election of directors to be rather confusing. Can we not simplify the voting process in future? Over to you, Barry.
Okay, this has been the shortest answer of the night, Jay. Yes. For future reference, the election of officers and stuff like that, whether it be by secret ballot on a paper ballot form or on an online ballot form, is just going to consist of voting for your chosen candidate. Okay.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Jay.
Pleasure. Good. Thank you, Jay. Right. Okay. This is a question about the World Handicap System. It's from Kif Padden. And basically, he's asking about the actual competition status. Like, you used to have to put in a minimum of 3 cards to be eligible to play in competitions. And he's now asking how how that is going to, what impact that will have now working with the World Handicap System. So I'm going to hand over to Steve Murphy to explain what that means. Please, Steve.
Thanks, Keith. In answer to Keith's good, excellent question, the World Handicapping System has been designed to reflect a more current ability in golfers. So rather than just always rely on historical data, by having 8 of your last 20 scorecards, so your best 8 is then averaged, and then you get your handicap. So it can have some larger leaps up and down than previous. There's no more 0.1 increase if you shoot a bad score. It will just go into your pot of 20, and then your best 8 will be averaged from there. When new members join, it's still the requirement to have 3 scorecards before they're allocated a new World Handicapping System. So almost by default, all our competitors in competitions would have either an established handicap, or if they're new members, they've already entered three handicap cards. The advantage of the system is that you can now enter cards more easily. So there's no such thing as a supplementary card. It's social golf. You can sign in to social golf via the app, the How Did I Do app, or the Members Hub. Register for your score. Go out and play. Put in your score, and by midnight your handicap will be adjusted if you've scored well, or if one of your previous 20 go out the other way, because it's in date order. So it's a much more robust system, but we just have to get used to it, because almost the moment it was launched, we went into lockdown, came back into lockdown. So there hasn't been a lot of opportunity to submit scores. So it's certainly something when we first come out of lockdown. I know we'll all be rusty, so maybe in the first couple of weeks you might want to get used to the course again. But certainly, once you start playing regularly, please enter your scores. Encourage your swindles to do the same, and it will give you a truer reflection of your current form.
Right. Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. Just quickly check if there's any hands up. No, can't see any. Fine. Okay. Okay, moving on. I've only got a couple more now, or 3 more, in fact, at the moment that are on my list. This is from Janet Powell, and I think she is there. Yeah, she is there. Yeah. Hello, Janet. I would like to ask why there is an involuntary £10 levy on my membership for special projects. This is effectively just an additional £10 increase in subs. My subs should cover any projects planned, special or otherwise. Why is it shown separately? Neil?
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Janet. I think we sort of touched on it earlier, that the idea was brought up when we were planning for the centenary. The £10 was really to earmark those monies specifically for project work. And I think over the preceding years to the centenary, we raised 30, 40, 50,000 quid, and then spent that on bunkers and the first tee and what have you. So yeah, we could put it back into the pot, but either way, I'd like to actually take that £10 and ensure that we do spend it on these projects. So we're sort of pushing that through now, Janet. So hopefully you'll see in the forum I put a list of the things we've done and things we're going to do. If anybody has got a suggestion that they want something particular done, then just email me in and we'll put it onto the list, discuss it, and hopefully we can start ticking these things off. But obviously £10 off everybody every year gives us about 4,000 quid to put towards these sort of extra projects, if you like. So yeah, I don't know if you want it on the subs or if you want it separate. It doesn't matter so much now, does it?
Neil, does it also mean though that the subs that it helps with regard to with CASC?
Yeah, I thought that was the case actually, but Barry sent me something helpful on CASC and said that as it's not voluntary, if you like. I mean, I suppose we could play on it and say it's a voluntary donation, but for 10 quid, I don't think it's going to matter too much. If it was a couple of hundred, then it probably would be taking the mickey. But right. Yeah, it's in there anyway.
Good. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Janet. Right. Okay. Question now from Jason, and I know he's there. I can see him. Yeah. Hello, Jason. Right. Jason is asking, obviously, and something that we discuss at the board level in some detail. Obviously, since last year, and Jason's written since June 2020. And when the new subscription season began, the course has been closed for approximately 5 months up to date. We've obviously got the clubhouse where and the bar where we obviously haven't spent any money in terms of suppliers and so forth. So hopefully we've actually managed to operating costs have been cut. And also, of course, we've received the subs from the members for this year. So he's asking whether there could be some sort of rebate back to the members. And I'm not going to read out the horrific figure that Jason proposed, but anyway, there was he's put that forward. One that we have discussed, and again, I'm going to refer to Neil, please.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I should give you a bit of a background to Golf Club. So the golf club, if it came to me and worked as a banker, we wouldn't touch a golf club. We would view it as yesterday's business. particularly members clubs. We run almost not for profit, so we're there for the benefit of the members. So, you know, you've got a business that has a fairly stagnant turnover. You've got rising costs, obviously, through inflation and wages, etc. And you carry quite a heavy fixed cost, if you like. So regardless of whether we're open, we need green staff in. We couldn't possibly let our greens go to rack and ruin because you'd never get them back. We've got obviously a huge site, buildings, etc. So that's one of the issues. And we talked earlier about maybe making us more commercial and then getting some other avenues of revenue to help support the golf club. And then it becomes a bit of a virtuous circle, doesn't it? As we get more money, we improve the club, we get more members, etc., etc. So, you know, slightly difficult business to look at. Then we get to this year, having just sat with Steve Murphy and gone through some quite drastic cost cutting at the beginning of 2020. We get to this year and then COVID happens, which, you know, frankly is just, you know, I don't need to say the stupid, unprecedented word, but, you know, it's a really strange situation. At that point, it was almost like a wartime decision. We were meeting almost daily, swapping emails, having WebExes and what have you. And the decision really was to sort of stop paying everything we could. Mickey Dowling actually had a go at me because I bounced the alarm money at one stage just by mistake. But we stopped what we could. We furloughed as many staff as we could, keeping on sort of a skeleton staff to keep us running. And, you know, we've stopped payments. Obviously, as you said, Jason, we've got some reduced payments in terms of our ongoing costs. We don't have the rates. You're quite right there. The interest we still did pay. We missed some of the loan repayments under an agreement with the various banks and lease companies, but that's only really pushing those situations down the road. We've still got to pay those. So the strange set of accounts. We will make a profit, but you know there are other factors to consider as well. So we've repaid probably 25 grand of these project monies that I felt were outstanding. We've got to liaise with the bank later in the year. We've got a £100,000 loan with the bank, which they've already said they won't renew. So we need to be cognizant of that fact. We don't know how many members are going to join in May, how many are going to leave. You know, now we're back to, you know, semblance of normality. Are people going to leave in their droves? Are they going to stay? Hopefully people will see the sort of benefits of being actually. What I would say is I think we're so different to a gym membership whereby you're paying some entrepreneur, you know, money to have access to things. We're a not-for-profit. We're a limited company, guaranteed, limited by guarantee, I beg your pardon. So we're effectively all owners of this business. So we've got a chance now to maybe reverse some of the situations. We're not going to borrow from next year's monies, so that resets the clock. We've got these project monies in tow. We've spent 40,000 and we've got lots of plans to spend more. Richard wants to do 5 more greens at 6,000 quid each. So, you know, I'm really hopeful that we can do that. So, look, it sounds a bit, I don't really want to come over sort of Churchillian, but if we all stick together on this, we've got sort of opportunity to take it forward. The simple maths is, you know, you can do it, 450 members, £100 each is 45 grand. If we refund, you know, 300-400 quid, that will essentially put us, you know, out of business. So it is a difficult one. I do honestly understand with people not playing golf and still paying. It's a strange situation. When we got to the COVID and I was worried about running out of money and it was backs against the wall, Larry Coyne came up with the brilliant idea of asking for the sort of 50% up front. And, you know, there was some, you know, whether it was going to work or not. And actually we got in, I think, about £120,000, which frankly is just remarkable, the way people have stuck with Shirley Park. You know, it almost sort of brought me to tears, that sort of response. So, you know, if everybody can just stay with us, we're going to try and get things going. As I said earlier, hopefully you can see all the projects are working. There's a real sort of buzz about the place now. And, you know, I just don't think the rebates is the right thing to do. what would be a relatively small figure to each of us having supported the club to then sort of jeopardise us. So, you know, let's see where we go, how many members we get. If we get through all of these projects and we've got irrigation and we've got drainage and we're down the line, then, you know, obviously we can review that. But there's loads and loads of things we can do with that money. So, you know, as I say, let's sort of stick in there if you agree, you know, hopefully you do.
Before, I'm sure Jason may want to come back, but before he does, can I just, Neil, can you itemise some of the projects that we've done in the last, dare I say, 12 months? And don't leave the bar out for the moment, because I know Larry's going to touch on that in a second. So if you just go through, so for the benefit of the members, let them know where we've spent their money.
Yeah, okay. So, you know, when I joined the board, I always used to talk about, you know, why can't we paint the clubhouse? And I don't have a practical bone in my body. I couldn't change a plug. So, you know, I always refer to the builders and they say, oh, it's a 25 grand job. So, you know, we never ever start doing the bloody job. But then we decided Steve would have a go at it for a week. And look what he did. He's got halfway around the clubhouse. That was a couple of £1,000. He started on the fence, bless him. So, you know, that was a few thousand. We put the bike rack in, as 500. We've done the rest of the fence. The fence at the front really has transformed the look of the club. It's sort of amazing story, really, that there was a gap between the fence and the pavement of about 8 to 10 foot times 75 metres. And that belonged to the council. And we asked them to either cut the trees back or to give us a contribution of £3,000, you know, as a contribution to sort of tidying it up. And they came back and said they're basically going bust. You know, they didn't have any money and we could just have the land. So, you know, that job suddenly changed. We took the land. We then did the trees. You know, funnily enough, the next day we then got a £3,000 payment from the council via a governmental grant. So that really worked in our favour. You can see the enormous amount of work there. So that ended up to being almost a sort of £10,000 job. We wanted to do the 13th tee, which again has been talked about forever and ever. You know, if you talk to Barry Adamson, he would say they were talking about it 10 years ago. But we've actually started on that now. So we've got all the trees cut down on the right-hand side so we can extend the tee over. That's £4,000. And then we're going to start on doing the actual tee probably next week, actually. So that's going to be, I think, probably a £5,000 job. Jimmy's done the lighting in the bar. If anybody,
Larry's going to touch on that.
Yeah, okay. I won't spoil the surprise then. We want to carry on the rest of the clubhouse. We've got a handyman now who is keen to do the painting on there. So we're going to let him loose as soon as the weather turns, so we can safely paint that. That's going to happen. We got the Monty basically badgered us forever and more to get the heated parasol at the back. That's now been ordered. The electrics are done, so that's ready to fit. So that'll be there by the time everybody comes back as well. So, you know, there's, as I said earlier, the £38,000 worth we've spent. So we really are steaming into these things. But I'll welcome any more suggestions from. If anybody's got a burning desire to see some project completed, let me know.
Okay. Right. Thank you, Neil. Jason, do you want to come back on that?
No,
Yeah.
just very well done. Thanks for the answer. Keep it going because we will be checking on you lot.
And rightly so. And rightly so. That's good.
Well done.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. I've got another question before we go on to the last question. I have in the chat box. I've got a question, and I think it's from is it from Nigel Walker? I think, and he says, "I understand what Neil has said about the finances. Will the club consider offering members to have guests for free as it did previously?"
Yeah, I mean, a good question, and I think the ethos of that last time, Nigel, with cutting to the chase, was that it obviously didn't cost us any money. So I think that's a really good idea. We need to do something. I do accept it's been so tough. So a great idea. And Let's put
Yeah.
it on the next board meeting. And
I agree with you, Neil. I think we should put that to the board for a chat about that when we do it next. So thank you for that question, Nigel. It's a good question.
Cheers, Nigel.
Right, I'm going to move on to the last question and then we'll open it up. The last question I've received was is from Bill Rooks, and Bill actually asked the same question that was asked before from Jason about obviously how we've about the monies, and that's already been answered by Neil. But Bill had another question, and this is regarding the bar, and he said, £11,000 was raised 3 to 4 years ago, as we already know, and we're not sure what's been done with this. Has anything been done about the look and the feel of the bar? I note from a recent post that £4,000 is going to be used to improve the lighting. This will only go to highlight the shabby state of the bar. And he goes on to blah, 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 blah. And asking about other things in the bar. Anyway, over to you, Larry, if you want to answer this one, please.
Yeah, no problem, Keith. Good evening, Bill. You're quite right. There was approximately 11,000 raised. There's still quite a bit of that in the coffers, as I think Neil will confirm. What we have done, the £4,000 lighting has come in £1,400 under budget, which was the surprise that Neil was trying to steal. This work's been carried out by our Vice Captain, Jim McAllister. And thanks very much, Jim, for all that you've done there. And the part about it was served to highlight the walls, etc. The walls are going to be painted within the next few weeks. We're going to do what we can in that area. We're a little bit landlocked there. We can only get so many tables in. If you're here on a Sunday at 2 o'clock or whatever else, it's chocker. I don't know what more we can do to get more people in there. I mean, there's a lot of faces I'm looking at here. They're in there on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah, sure. The carpet, as and when, I'll have a word with Neil. He's not giving any indication at the moment as to whether we can recarpet it or not. The drapes, Bill, I'm more than happy to meet you at the club. I don't really know a lot about drapes and stuff like that, but I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to meet you up there. We'll spend an hour, see what we can do. Everyone wants it looking as good as it can do. It's a 100-year-old building, but, you know, we've got to make the most of it. We've got to make it as good as we can. Other than that, I think that's that question answered. Good.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you very much. Right, that's all the questions that I've received, or Steve Murphy and I have received online. According to my watch, we got about 10 minutes to go to make it to the hour and a half that I said would be. So happy to answer any other questions that any members may have now. So if you have any, please put your hand up. Fidelis, you've got a question? You've got to unmute yourself, Fidelis.
Is it better?
Yes, that's better.
No, just with regards to straw play, when the new cards come out, can you not put a thing that with the timing on it? So if you're a 2-ball, it should be X number of hours, a 3-ball should be X number of hours, and a 4-ball should be X number of hours. Obviously taking the halfway house into consideration. And that way we know if someone's teed off at 8 o'clock and coming at 1 or 1:30, then that's throw.
So are you saying put it actually on the scorecard, or you actually want it on a notice board, or what are you saying?
Either on the scorecard, or like some clubs will have it on, say, on the 9th hole or the 6th hole. If you're taking an hour and a half to get there, or something like that.
I have been to courses where you get to say the 10th tee and they say by this time you should have been on the course for 2 hours or whatever, and they've actually had that there. Yeah. I mean, that sort of thing, we could discuss that and see whether that's something we should put out on the course. Yeah.
Because unfortunately, there are some people who don't seem to realize that they're slow and will not let people through. So that's something we need to educate our members, maybe.
Yeah, I would agree that sometimes it is a bit of education. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you want to lower your hand now?
I will.
All right. Okay. And I think we had. Was it Viru? Did you have a question?
Yeah, it's me there. Yes. Hello. Can you hear me, Keith?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things the club like ours, and there are many members club like ours, which rely very much on member subs as the main part of the income, and which is understandable. Now, going forward, we got some challenging times coming, or maybe not. But if we got challenging times coming, has the club, has the directors and the management looked at our income coming from the non-members? So that means visitors. So visitors can be not just golfers, visitors can be people hiring our clubhouse for funeral, wakes, for weddings and stuff. Of course, if we get that sort of income increased, say by 30, 40, 50%, 100%, it would help keep our subs at a level which is right level, a marketable level. Has the club compared our revenues from outside sources relative to what we have from members?
Right. Okay.
What are the club plans to do increase that?
Yeah. So, excellent question. And certainly, yes, of course. The straight answer is yes, we are considering. Barrett may well want to answer something on this, because Barrett and I have decided that we're going to be sharing a lot of the work going forward with regard to marketing and organising of events and social. So Barrett, would you like to respond to that, please?
Thanks, Vito, for the question. We have discussed this at the board, and obviously we're constrained in what's going to happen over the next few months in terms of the COVID situation. But we are already planning to put in place and open up and market. And that's one of the issues about the website I was talking about. And also Keith and I will be working on putting in plan, a marketing plan to encourage more bookings of all these events. So it's all in progress, but obviously we won't be able to do anything physically, have confirmed bookings until well after June. But we're not going to wait till June. We're going to put in place a plan, a marketing plan, and then take it from there.
Yeah. I would also add to that, because obviously I've got a bit more information than Barrett has with regard to what we were planning last year. And then, of course, with COVID kicking in, we suddenly everything stopped and we weren't allowed to run any functions. Steve Murphy, Alex, the caterer, and myself had sat down and actually gone through a lot of the pricing and packaging of what we have at the club in terms of wedding packages, in terms of what we've got to offer by way of for meeting space, and then also looking at obviously more wakes, how we can advertise to get we do very well out of wakes, and also that's purely on that side. Then of course we can be looking at increasing more revenue possibly from societies. We did extremely well on green fees during the interim time over the lockdown period. But we certainly will be looking again for that. So there's certainly loads of areas of income where we know we can actually concentrate and get more out of it. Certainly, every single area will be looked at. Barrett's absolutely right. He and I will sit down with Steve Murphy and we'll look at obviously what we can do on the website, and we'll look at what we can do by way of advertising and marketing and through a Facebook page, etc. And we'll be doing a lot more promotions and that sort of thing. So going forward, rest assured, yes, we know that we need to supplement our subs with other income. Yes. Okay. Anybody else got any questions? Well, that's brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. I think I can probably bring this meeting to a close. Thank you so much for your participation. As I said before at the beginning, if there are any questions later on that you suddenly think about and think, oh, I wish I'd asked that, please don't hesitate. Drop us an email, send an email to Steve Murphy or to myself, and we'll make sure that it gets answered, and we'll publish it on the forum along with the recording of this meeting. We will be having another think tank Q&A session, and we're hopefully going to be doing these virtually every sort of 6 months going forward. That's certainly the plan. So watch this space when it comes to that. That's all I think I need to say at this stage, I would say thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your summer and enjoy your golf. Thank you.
Night, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye.
Look forward to
everyone.
seeing you.
Thank you.
Well done, Keith.
Thank
Well
you.
done, Keith.
Thank you.
Cheers, all. Bye.
Cheers.
Yeah, nice one, Keith. Well done, mate.
Yeah.
Well done, Hero. See you later.
Cheers. Thank you.